Retirement feels scary for a lot of people because it seems like the moment you stop working, your savings start shrinking. It's like the clock's ticking and your hard-earned money is slowly slipping away. But here's the surprising truth. For a lot of retirees, the opposite happens. Their wealth actually grows, sometimes by a lot, and it feels completely backwards. How can your net worth increase after you stop earning a salary? It sounds impossible, but the data proves it, and the reasons might completely change the way you think about retirement. If you're planning for the future, or even just starting to think seriously about your pension, this is one you'll want to stick around for. You've probably heard of the famous 4% rule. It's a simple idea. Withdraw 4% of your investments each year, adjusted for inflation, and your money should last at least 30 years. That figure comes from decades of market data, including the worst times in history, like the Great Depression and the 1970s inflation crisis. It's basically the worst case number for a safe withdrawal rate. And here's something most people don't realize. Even the creator of the 4% rule, Bill Bengen, later said that in normal market conditions, people could safely take around 5%. So 4% is actually a very conservative number. But here's where it gets interesting, and why many people end up growing their wealth instead of draining it. A huge myth about retirement is that your expenses will skyrocket. People imagine endless travel, fine dining, hobbies, and ballooning healthcare costs. That fear of running out of money is one of the biggest reasons people stress about retirement. But the reality is the opposite. Most retirees actually spend less as the years go on. Let's look at the numbers. According to the Office for National Statistics, the average retired household in the UK spends about £27,000 per year. But that figure drops noticeably as people get older. Between ages 65 and 74, spending averages just under £29,000. For those aged 75 and older, it falls closer to £23,000. That's a difference of around £6,000 a year, or roughly 20% less. And it's not because people are forced to cut back, it's because they choose to. At first, many new retirees go through what's often called the honeymoon phase. They finally have free time, so they travel, see family, and tick off bucket list experiences. But after a few years, the pace changes. Long flights become less appealing, constant travel starts feeling exhausting, and home feels more comfortable than airports. Entertainment spending follows the same pattern. Fewer restaurants, fewer concerts, more time at home. Even transport costs drop. Couples often share one car, drive fewer miles, and don't commute daily. Yes, healthcare spending can increase slightly with age, but the overall trend is clear. Most retirees spend less over time. Here in the UK, the full new state pension pays about £11,500 per year as of 2024, around £220 a week. For a couple who both qualify, that's about £23,000 a year guaranteed, inflation adjusted, for life. Now let's do some quick maths. Say a retired couple spends about £29,000 a year, which is around average. With the state pension covering £23,000, their shortfall is just £6,000 a year. That's all they need to withdraw from their savings or investments to maintain their lifestyle, not £30,000 or £40,000 like many fear. And as they move into their late 70s or 80s, that spending gap shrinks even further. If they're spending £23,000 and the state pension still provides most of that, they may barely need to touch their savings at all. Here's where things get fascinating. The 4% rule assumes that you withdraw the same amount every year, no matter what's happening in the world. But in real life, that's not how people behave. Imagine you've just retired and the stock market drops 20%. Are you really going to book a £5,000 holiday like nothing happened? Probably not. You'll tighten the belt a bit, postpone that trip, or swap it for a UK getaway instead. And when the market rebounds, you might treat yourself again. That flexibility, those natural spending adjustments, make a massive difference, because when you spend a little less during down years, your investments have more time to recover, which dramatically improves your long-term outcome. Most retirees are more cautious than they realize. Even with plenty saved, they withdraw less than they technically could. It's partly habit, decades of being careful with money, and partly fear of running out. Researchers call this the consumption gap. Retirees could spend more, but they don't. And because they don't, their investments keep compounding. It's the quiet reason why many people in retirement actually end up wealthier than when they started. Let's take a couple who retires with £800,000 in investments and a full state pension. If they follow the 4% rule, they'd withdraw £32,000 per year from their investments, plus about £23,000 from the state pension. That gives them a comfortable income of £55,000 a year. But if their actual spending is closer to £35,000 or £40,000, which is typical, they're only withdrawing 1 to 2% of their portfolio. That means most of their money stays invested, growing faster than they're spending it. Even with modest investment growth, that portfolio could easily double within 10 to 15 years, despite being in retirement. Homeowners in the UK often see their property values rise over time, even during retirement. Historically, house prices have grown about 3 to 5% per year on average. For retirees who own their homes outright, that's another form of wealth quietly increasing in the background, even if they're not spending a penny. When you combine conservative withdrawal rates, naturally lower spending with age, guaranteed state pension income, cautious psychology and property growth, it becomes clear why many retirees actually grow their wealth after they stop working. Now, of course, not everyone does. Some people reach retirement with little saved and struggle to make ends meet. But for those who've built even a modest pension pot or investment account, the data is encouraging. The fear of running out is often overstated. In fact, the bigger risk might be the opposite: underspending, being overly cautious, and missing out on experiences while you're still healthy enough to enjoy them. So the next time you picture retirement as a slow financial decline, remember this: your wealth doesn't have to shrink. With smart planning, flexible spending, and a steady hand, it can actually grow. If this video helped you think differently about retirement, give it a like, subscribe for more personal finance and investing content, and tell me in the comments, what's your biggest fear about retirement?